Hello, my name is Dian Pramitha Utami. My student number is 019. I am from Group 11 in Introduction to Theory of Literature, Class A. And today, along with my friends, we would like to present our analysis of reader response towards Lamb to the Slaughter. And previously, we already gathered the data from two different respondents, which suitable with the criteria. The criteria are, first, they must be an active English language and literature student at UNER, and they are both from batch 2020. And the third one, they have read the stories, the story, I mean. And to broaden our perspective, we taking the data from two different genders. The first reader is a male. His name is Matthew Robert Antonis, and the second reader is a female. Her name is Aziza Pauletta. So we already, so the system of the interview, the first step is we giving them the PDF file of the story, and then after they finishing the story, we provide them with Google form containing 6 different questions, and we decided to choose Google form as our interview platform because it is very flexible and they can fill it at any time they have. All right, so I will begin to read the first response of question 1. Question 1. Give your brief explanation about the story. The first reader answered that the story is about a woman named Mary who killed her husband because she was disappointed with her husband leaving her and the baby alone. And for the second response from reader 2, she answered it a little bit more detailed, and the answer is a story about a husband and wife who initially had a good relationship until the husband asked for a divorce, even though he knew his wife was pregnant, and he just said that it was important to be calm and reasonable about the divorce, and he said that he would send some money to help her take care of the child. And by hearing this, Mary didn't accept the decision and didn't let Patrick go. Patrick is the name of the husband, but Patrick snapped her and said, "Try and stop me." Mary was furious, and Mary beat him to death with a frozen leg of lamb. Then Mary pretended that she was not the murderer of her husband and went to the market casually like nothing had happened before. After coming home from the market, she immediately contacted Patrick's 2 friends who both worked as detectives and made a story that she didn't kill him. While the detective investigated the case, Mary told them to have dinner with the lamb leg that she had cooked before she went to the market. And the 2 detectives ate it voraciously without knowing that the lamb leg that they ate was the evidence they had been looking for. So, as we could see in the slide, we could see that the first reader or the first respondent is giving a little more generic answer. He didn't give a detailed answer. He didn't give a detailed explanation about the story, but in in the female response, she even described and even put a transcript of the dialogue there. And the next response will be explained by my friends. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Ayu Tandira and my student number is 043. So here's the second question. The second question is, what is the main conflict in the story? The first reader answer is, Mary killed her husband Patrick. And the second reader answer is, I think the main conflict of this story is about Patrick Melanie, who suddenly asks her divorce to Mary, even though he knows that she is pregnant, but he just tells her that it is important to be calm and reasonable about the divorce, and he said that he will send some money to help her take care of the child. Mary didn't accept the decision and didn't let Patrick go, but Patrick snapped at her and said, "Try and stop me." Mary was furious and Mary beat him to death with a frozen leg of lamb. And then the third question is, how does lamb to slaughter related to the society? The first reader answer is, this story shows about many people who are not responsible for their actions. And the second reader answer is, I think lamb to the slaughter related to the stereotype and gender issues. Because first of all, there is an imbalance in the relationship. Patrick felt he had more power and role than Mary, so he behaved arbitrarily to Mary. Even though Mary has fulfilled her obligation as a housewife, Patrick still doesn't respect her and continues to act arbitrarily because he thinks that Mary has no greater power than him, because according to Patrick, Mary is just a housewife whose job is to stay at home and serve her husband.
Hello everyone, my name is Kamilatul Fikriyah and my lesson number is 001. So here, the next question. Actually, that is a fourth question. So what is the message or moral value of the story? The first reader answered that we should be responsible with the things we have done and we must be able to control our emotions. And the second reader answered that I think the message or moral value of the story is don't underestimate those who appear to be weak and that those who appear to be innocent are often anything. So from the both answer, I think the first answer is refers to Patrick Moloney, who may be having problems that cannot be resolved outside of the story, maybe. So that he gets emotional and decide to divorce Mary Moloney. But in the first answer, it can also refers to Mary Moloney. Why? Because Mary Moloney, who is also emotional because her husband's decision has hurt her, but she covered her mistakes with various alibis and her innocent face. So actually, from the both answer, we can conclude that we also have to be careful with people who look innocent, and we have to be smart at controlling our emotions. And the next question is, what is your perspective on this story? So actually, the first answer is still related to the previous moral value. So Matthew, as the first reader, answer that he get from this story is what we should be responsible with everything we have done. Then he also learned to control his emotions towards something that may make him disappointed. And the second reader answered that perspective from the story is, at first it was boring because it only tells about Mary and Patrick's daily life, but over time the story became fun and exciting because many unexpected things happen in the story. So there is the last question. The sixth question, that is, have you read this story before and what impression comes to you after reading this story? So the first reader answered that he never read this story. At first, he was confused with Patrick's personality because he's so cool to his wife. Meanwhile, Mary was very nice to him. But in the end of the story, Matthew feels so annoyed with what Mary has done to Patrick and to the whole life. to the police. And the second reader answered that her impression in when read Lamb to the Slaughter, that is after reading this story is kind of speechless, goosebumps, and also amazed with the storyline because she didn't expect that Mary would do such a brutal thing like that. So the the next will be present with my friends about analysis of reader response. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Firda Ovilia, my student number is 005. So I will continue the presentation about reader response theory. So reader response theory is a theory which gained prominence in the late 1960s that focuses on the reader or audience reaction to a particular text, perhaps more than the text itself. Reader response criticism can be connected to post-structuralism emphasis on the role of the reader in actively. And then there are 5 types of reader response approach. The first type is transactional reader response approach used by Louis Rosenblatt and Wolfgang Iser. The second type is affective stylistic presented by Stanley Fish. The third type is subjective reader response approach in the work of David Bleich. And then psychological reader response approach employed Norman Holland. And the last type is social reader response approach in the major works of Stanley Fish.
Hello everyone, my name is Shinta Fitriya, my student number is 013. So I would like to continue the explanation. In our analysis, we use social reader response theory by Stanley Fish. This theory is the extension of his earlier work, stating that any individual interpretation of a text is created in an interpretive community of minds consisting of participants who share a specific reading and interpretation strategy. And the social reader response, championed by Stanley Fish, argues that there is no purely individual subjective response. And Fish claims there's an interpretive community that influences and shares the same interpretive strategies as the reader. Therefore, any response to a text is communal. And based on the theory and the answers we got from the respondents, we can see that readers have their own interpretation and reading strategies. This can be seen from the different respondents' answers. They have their own interpretation of the literature they read and the questions we ask. And that's all for our group presentation about the analysis reader response of Lamb to the Slaughter story. And thank you.